Welcome back to another episode of Andrew Says. Two wonderful guests here today with me, Jason Miller, Getter CEO, and of course, the young, I don't know what to call you, Billboard charting artist, Chandler Crump. Wasn't there a better verb we could add on that? Youngest Billboard charting artist, Chandler Crump?
Yeah, I don't think it'll ever get beat.
He was only 10 years old, everybody, at the time last year. So, Jason, I wanted to start with you. I was going through Getter yesterday with my producer, Efron, shout out producer Efron, and showing him that I just found this new feature on Getter of basically Reels, TikToks. It's called Vision, and I really like that you can just download it right from there on the desktop version. You want to tell us how that came about? It kind of sprung up on me quickly. How long was it in the works?
Well, I've been working on Vision for quite a while. Ever since we launched last July, one of the things that we'd always hear from people is they want to have an all-in-one free speech platform, whether it be the microblogging, the live streaming, which of course we've introduced and you guys have participated in, then also Vision, which is our short video competitor to TikTok and Instagram Reels. So people love having that all in one place, and particularly for younger platform users, especially in the 18 to 30 range or so, they very much like the short video format. They don't like the political censorship of TikTok or Instagram Reels, and they don't like the fact that the CCP controls everything to do with TikTok. And so we've decided to put it all together. And so literally it's all in the Getter app. You can do everything from the live streaming to the short posts, like your timeline, but then also now with Vision.
Yeah, and I like that too from the point of China controlling TikTok, because you hear a lot of people say about how in China they push stuff like, you know, kids engineering and people learning things and building things. Where in America, I personally think it's purposely fed an algorithm to make things worse, to push the worst stuff to the top. Chandler, I don't know how much TikToking you do really, but do you find that as well? And do you think it's like a good thing to have more competitors for it?
I got to tell you, Andrew, I am indeed painfully Generation Z. I love me a good amount of TikTok. I also love me tuning into some Reels every once in a while, too. My girlfriend sends me Reels all the time. So I'm really excited to see some stuff coming out about Getter Vision. I was actually going on the Getter app just yesterday to post something because I'm very active on every single platform, alt tech place I can be, as many as I can be, because I think they're all great. Though I do think Getter works the absolute best out of any of them. So shout out to you, Jason, for that. But I was scrolling at the bottom. I saw like yet another thing, and I saw Vision. I was like, oh, this is going to be good. So I'm really excited to start bringing my short form content to Getter to not only appeal to other people who are on there, but even appeal to myself, because I love me some content. I love me that short form stuff. I'm really in that 18 to 30 range. I fit right in that demographic. So I'm really excited.
No, and really, and this is going to start sounding like a Getter commercial, but it does work. The videos upload faster than Twitter. I think probably I'm not the only one who likes the fact that you can post a link and post a video and they both show up. And the algorithm seems real. You can actually grow on there. So, of course, shout out to Jason for that. And I think that's something everybody can enjoy. And, Jason, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but also I don't think Truth Social has been what it was drummed up to be. So I think that you guys are probably much wiser for getting out as quick as you have. And I don't think it was very wise of Trump to wait as long as he did, not jump on board with you guys. So what is the actual plan going forward with this much competition? Is it just, steady the course and the people will, if you build it, they will come? Or are we trying to, really bring over some of those people with features like this?
Well, I think ultimately the two things that are really going to set us apart are the technology, which I think we've done, not just with the microblogging posts, the live streaming, which by the way, we're now up over 140 million views that have been watched on live streaming since last October. And then now with Vision, which will open us up to an entire new demographic. But this summer, when we launch Getter Coin and Getter Pay, we're then going to bring in the crypto and the blockchain aspects of it. And so we're going to have all this together in one place. A whole bunch of cool features on the way. We'll be launching DMs later this month, direct messages. That's been the number one thing people have been asking for since we launched. We're sorry for the delay. It's coming up later this month, I promise. But then a whole bunch of other cool interactive features. Our engineers, it's like, for me, it's like a kid walking in the candy store when I go into the engineers. I sit down and our lead engineer shows me, hey, look at this demo. You can hit this button and find out any Getter people within 1, 5, or 10 miles who have their feature turned on, and case you want to connect with another Getter user. Really cool interactive things for meetup opportunities, to see new people. These guys are so brilliant. They have the big brains. I'm just the beautiful face, but we have some really smart engineers. That was a joke, by the way, in case anyone didn't get it. But it's exciting. And I think that the other aspect is the international growth. Right now we're 51% domestic, 49% international. And as long as we continue to scale globally, I think this really has the chance to be the platform that sets the tone. Yeah, and for those who didn't know, the Getter live stream had a lot to do with the trucker convoy in Ottawa. There was Ottawa, excuse me. I can't even pronounce the capital of my own country. We had a lot of people from Ottawa live streaming on Getter as well to get that out to an American audience. So that was a lot of fun, I thought, watching it on there and getting the American audience who, I'm going to go ahead and say, cares about freedom more than any other country in the world. Chandler, what do you have going on? I've been watching you, of course. We've worked together a bit before. Are you big on watching this gun control stuff that's going on? I know I wanted to talk to you about that, and Jason as well, but with the people sort of in your age demographic really coming out hard against all this stuff, how do you feel about it?
Well, as a red-blooded American, but also a member of Generation Z, I can tell you that there has been a war declared on our rights, including the president going so far as to say something that he said during the campaign trail that I truly didn't believe he could actually say and get away with, but apparently he did, and he's going at it again by saying no amendment is absolute, which really brings into question a lot of different amendments, including the 13th Amendment, because it sure sounds like Joe Biden wants to put a whole lot of people back in chains, as he so eloquently said back in 2012 in reference to the Black community. So this guy has a long history of racist statements and perhaps even racist opinions, which also delves right back into those that go against the Second Amendment and gun control. Gun control wasn't really a major thing until they realized groups like the Black Panthers and the Black community were arming themselves with weapons like that could kill people against those that wanted to run into their houses and burn them down, with the history of the KKK. So I believe gun control has a racist history, just like abortion does. And these are all things that the left are using as a linchpin against the Black community. And they're utilizing the youth community to do this. So they've got young people like David Hogg with March for Our Lives, which is apparently about to do a major thing later this month. And they had this big thing with the pro-choice movement just very recently after the whole Roe v. Wade leaked memo. So all sorts of things they're pushing to attack each and every community that they believe isn't worthy of being around anymore, isn't worthy of being their quote unquote supportive voting bloc anymore. They want to go after whatever they can. And I think it's really disgusting to see how they use young people against it.
Jason, when I was just a lowly YouTuber, which I guess I am still in a sense, I did a video looking into the March for Our Lives group. I forget, the Women's March was another one who was a part of it. And I wanted to ask you, since you're much heavily more into the political scene in the U.S. than I could ever be, I think, is it weird, or is it disturbing, I guess you should say, how much in concert all of these organizations are? Because when you look at them, they're all really coming from the same place. Is it much easier to see how, I guess you could say, fake they are or contrived they are when you're that close to the situation? Or are you jaded by this, or do you not find that at all, or do you completely disagree with that?
I think a little bit of all of the above, but Molly Ball wrote a cover story for Time a few months ago where they talked about how literally the forces on the left, both on big tech, the media, these left of center activist groups, effectively all worked together in concert in 2020 to ultimately swing the election to Joe Biden. And it's really almost kind of scary when you see the way that everything is so manipulated and put together. And this is why, to go back to your early point about TikTok and CCP, think about our kids nowadays. With TikTok, you're supposed to be 13, but kids very much younger than that have TikTok accounts. You just lie about your age and get an account. But think about it. By the time our kids turn 18, the CCP will be able to have a psychographic analysis just basically based off the algorithm and what kind of videos our kids and our young people want to watch. And so as you think then about future voter trends, future activities here in the United States, we're going to have other countries who know what our youth wants to do more than even they do. That's a scary thought. And when so many people just march along like sheep and follow whatever the media tell them, that's why it's so great to see what Chandler's doing, what so many young people are standing up and saying, we want to embrace freedom. But when you see these groups, always have a little bit of caution, because they're never what they seem.
Is it weird to you, having borne a platform out of free speech, to hear a president talk about parts of the Constitution and amendments not being absolute. And I'm waiting for the point where he's going to say, you know, hate speech isn't free speech. But is it weird to you to hear a president talk about this stuff like it's just, you know, oh, we can change it if we really need to because of a certain events? How do you feel about that?
Well, it's weird. And, you know, once the big tech platforms kicked off President Trump, really they were unencumbered at that point. Those were really the guardrails. And once they were able to get away with that and there was no pushback, the media, of course, went along with it. They thought it was fine. Even if you go and poll younger voters today, they think that it was fine also. You kick off President Trump or other people. This is really, we're kind of in the no man's land. You know, in the medieval maps when they have the dragon out in the ocean because they didn't know what was beyond the dragon. We're kind of out past that. I mean, Joe Biden literally, it looks like he escaped off the set of The Walking Dead, embarrassing us by shaking hands with the air or being guided around by the Easter Bunny. And nobody seems to notice what's going on. They're just so glad that we don't have mean tweets in the White House anymore. It's scary. And also the fact we see these progressive governments now become the authoritarians. You're seeing it, of course, with Trudeau up north in Canada. And it's really scary how much our constitutional rights and freedoms, regardless of what country we're in, are under assault.
I'm still laughing with that. Walking Dead, I'll write that one down. Chandler, with some of the things I see lately, and I'm going to reference a YouTuber named Nuance Pro because I was watching his video yesterday interviewing people about gun control, a lot of them, of course, in your age range. What do you think is the desire to come out so vehemently against this stuff? Is it just, is it really wanting some sort of change to happen, or do you think it might be, you know, people wanting to do the thing that is supposed to be the right thing online to make yourself look like a good person?
Honestly, Andrew, I think it all boils down to the Easter Bunny. These kids just haven't let go of the Easter Bunny. They still 100% believe, because they believe in all sorts of pipe dreams, like Joe Biden actually being led by the Easter Bunny. And so anything that Joe Biden says, well, it has to be endorsed by the Easter Bunny. If the Easter Bunny endorses it, that means we got to take away all the guns. Now, I can tell you, I grew up still in middle school and even in elementary school when all these mass shootings suddenly started taking place after the Sandy Hook one, and then the ones that happened in 2015, 16, and 17, and 18 really kind of hammered that point in for me. And it wasn't just the fact that they're happening, but it was the fact that everybody started talking about them. So yeah, I was sitting in my classrooms a little scared of somebody busting into my school and opening fire just because they're a mad person. They're crazy. But I also realized, and this was even when I was younger, that it wasn't the guns that were killing the people. It was the people that were holding them, that were obtaining them illegally, and that were, you know, posting all about online with pictures of dead cats and saying, yeah, I'm going to go shoot up a school, and nobody doing anything about it. That is the real cause of these problems. And so everybody is being endangered by these organizations, these three-letter organizations like the FBI and the NSA and the Homeland Security that's supposed to know all about all these sorts of things and actually does know about these things because it has these people on watch lists, and big tech organizations like Google and Facebook and Twitter not doing anything when they realize that this person looks like they're going to go shoot up a school and not, you know, notifying anybody, and the person goes through and does it, and these organizations take their chance to go out there and really is talk about, yeah, take away the guns. That's the thing. No amendment is absolute. We need to save the children by depriving them of their rights. It makes absolutely no sense. And as a young person, and, you know, speaking for other young people that probably fall into this sort of mindset, they think, oh, well, I'm saving my life. It's the march for our lives. I'm saving everybody else's life by restricting our rights, because that's the number way to save yourself, right? When a gun is the ultimate equalizer, imagine all these young females, this is something I always bring up within my generation, that aren't as biologically or physiologically as strong as their male counterparts. What are they going to do when some male runs upon them in an alley? Because if you're just a woman, you know, small, 5 foot, and this is a 6 foot man, he's going to get whatever he wants. And that's really sad. But if you've got the Ruger on you, if you got whatever you need to do to defend yourself, well, he's not going to have such an easy time.
I think what we still run into as a problem today is people wanting to be the first person to react and say the right thing. And I think if people just sort of, especially with the Texas incident, I don't want to say anything that's going to get it pulled down from YouTube. Love that censorship. But I think people jump so far ahead so quickly without knowing the facts to any of these events that it probably makes a lot of people end up looking stupid. We see that with certain DNC commentators that, especially in regards to Ukraine, that happened a lot earlier. But Jason, I wanted to ask you more on the Biden stuff. All this crazy stuff, and I don't want to mention any of it again because of censorship. I hate YouTube so much. But Hunter Biden, without getting into it, I'm forced to play this game where it's like, what if it was somebody else? What if it was Trump Jr.? What if it was Eric Trump? What would you say? Because I face this question a lot to people who say, why should we care about what Hunter Biden does?
Well, I think that, you know, with the Hunter Biden aspect, yes, there's a scandalous part with the imagery of scantily clad people. Of course, we know Hunter loves himself the red feather boa, which, hey, great. Different strokes for different folks. I'm all about whatever you want to embrace. That's cool. Hunter, more feather boas for you. Here's the thing that really upset me with the Hunter Biden laptop scandal is that the business dealings that we saw, both Joe Biden, James, Frank Biden, and obviously Hunter himself as kind of the point person engaged in, the 10% for the big guy, all these different things that we saw in the run up to 2020, they were primarily centered around two main countries, Ukraine and China. What are the two countries we have massive issues with at the moment? Ukraine and China. And I think Americans would have a much better sense of why Joe Biden is making the certain decisions that he is if they fully understood what went into his family's business dealings. That's why this was such a big deal.
Chandler, could you imagine if Donald Trump Jr. was doing this stuff and he was involved with a foreign country, as they, of course, alleged, and then nothing was actually there. But he was doing all this stuff, all this weird photos came out of him, all these weird videos. He was a drug addict, and they had him on like Tucker Carlson or something, celebrating him, joking around, like they did with Hunter Biden on Jimmy Kimmel. I tried to watch some Jimmy Kimmel with, who was it on there, Adam Sandler yesterday. I just can't get around Jimmy Kimmel anymore. I just can't deal with him anymore. But what can you imagine what the reaction would be if they treated a Trump personality like this the way they treat Hunter Biden?
Dude, I don't think I could stop imagining it because they would never let it go. They would hammer that point in so hard. I remember when Trump was talking about where's Hunter back in 2020 during the whole thing. Good Morning America aired this segment over and over again where it played that part of Trump's speech. And then Hunter Biden's like, here I am, Mr. President, and I'm sick and tired of your bigotry and all this. I'm like, dude, I've said this on my stream a few times before, and I want to mention I stream every week on Tuesdays and Thursdays on Getter at 8 p.m. So shout out to Getter for hosting me up there. That actually happened after I got banned from YouTube for Let's Go Brandon, which was really hilarious. But anyways, I've said this on my show multiple times. Hunter Biden has been living life like Grand Theft Auto 5. Dude, he's literally done anything. He took his dead brother's widow and did whatever he wanted with her. He's been having fun with strippers. He's been recording himself doing it. He's been doing all sorts of drugs. These are like just absolutely out of left field things, and he's been allowed to get away with it because, well, he's Hunter Biden. He's been allowed to do whatever business dealings he wants with absolutely no qualifications for it, giving 10% to the big guy, and the media is going to be like, yes, congratulations, Hunter Biden. We're so proud of you for overcoming your drug abuse. When has he really? Has he really overcame anything? I think the only thing he has overcame is the right wing trying to talk to him because he gets to get away with whatever he wants. It's really crazy.
Jason, how did the media so quickly forget about the Bidens in Ukraine?
Well, easy, because it fits into the narrative with them wanting to go and say that Russia is to blame for everything. They still want to go and try to tie President Trump into Russia, even though now it's been clearly proven this was all crooked Hillary and the rest of her squad. By the way, Jake Sullivan, who's our national security advisor in the Biden White House, was one of the people who's the main perpetrators of this Russia hoax. But the media still wants to go back and try to tie in that Russia's the bad guy, Russia is somehow Trump, Russia's the one that's invading Ukraine. And so we must find a way to connect Trump into this. They're so obsessed and so deranged by it, they can't see clearly. And here's the thing. What Putin's doing in Ukraine, for example, is clearly illegal. I oppose his invasion. I do not think the U.S. should be taking us closer to a kinetic conflict with Russia. However, I don't think that we should be sending Ukraine additional missiles, especially ones that could be potentially used as long range. I think that's just sucking us further and further in and getting us closer to a conflict. But the media just can't see straight. They're so triggered by President Trump. It's the only thing that consumes them. Go to any bookstore, by the way, these days. Go to Barnes and Noble. Go to the airport. Go to any place where they sell books. Everything is Trump. They still talk about Trump 24/7. It's part of the reason why I hope he comes back and runs and wins again in 2024.
I saw a Michelle Obama book being pushed at a game store. I just wanted to push that out there. At Mastermind Toys, Michelle Obama's book is being pushed. So I'm happy to hear you. Well, I'm not happy to hear you say that, but I'm glad you're willing to say that. I tend to feel the same way. Canada has sold weapons to the Ukraine, and there's still all these conservative politicians being like, this is the best thing ever. Let's maybe we should go to war. Maybe we shouldn't. Who knows, you guys? And it just gets crazier and crazier. And it's just interesting how the polarities have switched. And even though I don't think the Democrats have ever been, reasonable, I think it's just people weren't paying attention. The anti-war sentiment is completely gone from mainstream leftism and in their media. You won't see anybody on The View saying, we shouldn't be doing this stuff with Ukraine, or we shouldn't be advancing in Ukraine's political agenda or their war agenda. Whoopi Goldberg's not about to have a shirt that says that. Now, I don't think anybody else is actually saying that on the right in Canada. So I think it's a big problem. And I wish more people would say that on free speech platforms like yourself. I want to move on to something specifically American, and that's gas prices. They're skyrocketing here. They've gone up almost $1 in the last 3 months. I know inflation and the prices are worse in America, and Biden's fault. I know they say that the president can't do anything, but I have theories, and I'll get to those in a bit. But can you guys think of a way that they can actually get the prices down? I know it's easy to say, and we'll go to you first, Chandler. I know it's easy to say that Biden is terrible because the stats show, the scoreboard shows that he is. But can you think of any moves he can make at this point to bring it back down? I know there's things that they can sign to make it so that you can mix the gasoline to make it cheaper, but I think that's only for a month, I've read. Chandler, do you have any policy advice for lovely Joe?
Yeah, I think as a 17-year-old who's only lived a few years in this country, I can give you some great advice. Just look at everything Joe Biden did in the first 3 months of his administration, and then just pull up, get rid of that. So let's say freezing the Keystone Pipeline. Let's not do that. Stopping and putting a federal stop to do drilling on some of the land. Let's not do that. Let's focus more on creating things here in America as we have done for years now under the Trump administration, and get back our energy independence, and also stop investing billions of dollars into a war, which is investing billions of dollars indirectly with one of our greatest trade partners in Russia, which everybody's like, oh, we barely get any oil and gas from Russia anyways, but they give a lot of oil and gas to other countries, and that's always going to have a ripple and domino effect on the gas prices. Everybody always makes the point of, well, Biden doesn't decide the gas prices. Well, yeah, sure he doesn't, but you can't blame it all on Putin either. We've got a whole lot of problems that are being caused by a domino effect of that war over there, our stupid policy decisions over here, and this liberal agenda, which is destroying our country at every step of the way, which is sad to say the least.
Jason, do you think this is on purpose by Joe Biden? He closed the pipeline, which affects my country a lot. Another governor, I think the Michigan governor, wanted to shut down another pipeline. This is within days of taking office. All the things Chandler mentioned. Do you think Biden is doing this on purpose? And if so, why?
Well, absolutely. I mean, Joe Biden has all these deals that he's cut with the lefties, the progressives, and he wants to make good on that by shutting down any energy exploration. But the problem is at a certain point, it's, well, where are we going to get energy from? I mean, we haven't built a new nuclear plant in years. They want to have everything moved to electric vehicles, or at least they did before Elon Musk was making all the news about buying Twitter. And so I don't know if they still like electric vehicles anymore. We'll have to see. Maybe they're anti-electric vehicles. Maybe they just want us to be like New York and these other big cities where you just have to ride your bike everywhere, and they've shut down all the car lanes. I don't know exactly what they're getting to, but Chandler hit the nail on the head when he said we just have to go back and reverse these policies that took us from being energy independent to now being dependent on other countries. And, we get about 9% of our oil from Russia, which any oil from Russia is entirely too much. And at this point, I think the media wants to blame Russia for everything except for maybe Hunter Biden's drug problem.
I tried to go right through it. I couldn't. Saudi Arabia doesn't get talked about at all. Canada takes a ton of oil from Saudi Arabia. What is this how, and I'm going to purposely try to sound naive here. Is this how it works, Jason? We just deal with terrible countries and pretend that we're not, and then we demonize another country for convenience?
Yeah, I mean, I'm old enough to remember when Joe Biden used to actually talk about Jamal Khashoggi and how terrible that was, that the Washington Post journalist who was killed. But now that we have to go and get oil from the Saudis, even more oil, then of course that just kind of gets swept under the rug. And so at a certain point here, when you start playing the wokeism and the cancelism and the virtue signaling, which is really all that Biden and the Democrats seem to know how to do, you kind of run out of people to go and virtue signal. In fact, one of the best headlines I saw over the last 24 hours is that Chris Light, the new head of CNN, is going to start working. I can't even say without laughing. They'll start working with their talent and say those that are too extreme or those that are too partisan, they might remove from the airwaves if they can't start to moderate. And the only thing I think was, who would be left? Who would be left at fake news? And then if you took away all the hardcore lefties and the partisans, I mean, I don't know. Is there like a deep bench somewhere that have some people on CNN they could bring in? I mean, you're certainly not going to leave Mr. Potato Head Brian Stelter or super wokester Jim Acosta or any of these guys. So I don't know who they're even going to come up with, but that's all the left wants to do is cancel this, move on to the next. But at a certain point, there's nothing left to cancel.
Yeah, I don't know who that would be. I'm trying to think who's below CNN. Because if you go with like Fox, you could be like, oh, they'll call up some OAN or Newsmax people. The Young Turks probably make more money than CNN. MSNBC does. I don't know. Chandler, any ideas here? And who's
Andrew,
more extreme? Go ahead.
I'm thinking they might try to poach you next. I mean, after the big flop that was CNN Plus, man, I think they might be getting desperate. Yo, call up Rebel News. Let's see if we can get Andrew Says. I think we can give him a better contract here on CNN. Because honestly, they're so desperate for ratings and viewers. I think they'd reach anywhere to get them.
I don't know if that's an insult to me or not, Chandler, but I'll start Don Lemon and Don and Andrew tonight. But that's the thing, like, who is not towing the line at CNN? Poor Wolf Blitzer is going to end up getting fired. They're going to replace him with a hologram. If the time has come, hologram Wolf Blitzer, I think. I want to go behind the paywall for another segment because everybody wants to subscribe to CNN Plus. No, wait. Everybody wants to subscribe to Rebel News Plus, not CNN Plus. Damn it, Chandler. See what you've done here. $8 a month, rebelnewsplus.com, and you can get all the additional segments that we have here on the show, as well as the Ezra Levant Show. So please go to rebelnewsplus.com. We will see you there, or see you next week. Thanks for watching another episode of Andrew Says. To get the full version of the show with bonus segments, go to rebelnewsplus.com and sign up now.